Joined now on the broadcast for Where Are They Now by former Scream Eagle Darren Sutherland, a member of the first-year Scream Eagles, a 19-year-old in his rookie season. Darren, how did that come to be?
I had been drafted by Hull, and I had broken my jaw there the summer before. I ended up playing Junior A in the Maritime Junior League, and it was just kind of out of the blue. I'm not really sure where the connection came from. And at the time, Hull won the Memorial Cup one year. They were hosting it. So it was a tough lineup to get into. I was playing Junior A, and around December 1st or so of that year, I ended up in Cape Breton. I wasn't really sure how it was going to work out, how long I'd be there, but I ended up staying for the rest of that year. If I remember correctly, there's a little bit of a blip. There was some issue getting my release, so I actually came home for a week or so while they worked out the details. For me, it was exciting being a 5'6" defenseman in that era. It was a tough kind of nut to crack, a bit more clutch and grab. You see a little bit more of the smaller players, especially smaller D, getting some opportunities now. Just the way the game has kind of evolved and the emphasis on the skill and skating. So at the time, great opportunity to get to play at that level.
Any memories in particular stand out of the group? It seemed like there was some good camaraderie with that first-year team.
It was a really good group. I had known a few guys. Ryan Walsh ended up in Granby, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he was actually in Hull for a little bit, like the first time I went to training camp. I could be wrong. Tommy Gagnon for sure was in Hull, so I'd known him a bit. Randy Copley a little bit just from growing up minor hockey-wise. It was a really good group, real tight. The group I was kind of with was like Ryan Walsh, Josh Dill, Trevor Ettinger, Bart Sorley. I think it was new for everybody, just the first year and the travel and all of that kind of stuff. So it brought us together pretty quick.
You had a chance to do some scouting and still are, from what I understand. How did you get into that?
I knew going forward I wanted to do something in hockey. I ended up having a cornea transplant in my right eye when I was 22. So I knew going to university, I went to UPI, and I kind of chose that because I knew I was going to play a little bit the first year, and I didn't really know how much time I had with my eyes. I played there, and then I ended up actually having surgery on my shoulder as well, and basically that was it. So I finished my school at UPI, and then I was fortunate the way the timing kind of worked. I came home back to Halifax. Within a couple of years, I was coaching major midget there for 4 or 5 years as an assistant coach, and then I got into some other hockey stuff with some scouting stuff, which I still do with Blainville, obviously into my job.
You are Director of Development for Hockey Nova Scotia. What exactly does that job entail?
I've been there for 10 years now. It's evolved a lot. I think just the way the game is going, especially at the minor hockey level, you're starting to see more and more jobs, whereas I guess years ago, you think more of minor hockey being a volunteer-driven operation, which it still very much is, but you do start to see more and more staff. I kind of oversee all of the development programs within Nova Scotia, so that includes basically everything from grassroots minor hockey and long-term player development. What are we doing in our structure? Coaching, education, and all that kind of stuff. And then probably the busiest, my favorite part of it is our high-performance program. So our Canada Games programs, our under-16 programs is a big part of my job. It's great. It's one of those things where just the evolution of it 20 years ago, everything seems so far away for players in the province, and now you see more and more guys. It was almost unheard of for a guy to be drafted in the first round. Now you see 4 or 5 guys in a year, and we're almost disappointed if we don't have 5 or 6.
Fans will be happy to hear analysis from the Hockey Nova Scotia side and hear you talk about your days as an Eagle. Thanks for this, Darren. Best of luck going forward.
No problem, thanks. It's hard to believe it's 20 years. It's fun to talk about it for sure.
That's former Scream Eagle Darren Sutherland joining us here in the broadcast. You're listening to McDonald Auto Group, Scream Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.